Greetings and welcome to Matrix Unlocked, episode 9. Now, it is often said that if you do not learn from lessons, you will keep making the same mistakes over and over again, and by extension, that is the definition of insanity. For example, if you do not master about walking through a door frame and you keep hitting your shoulder, you're going to keep doing it until you learn how to do it. And it's equally true with truth seeking and spirituality. In recent years, we have had a situation. You've had flat Earth, you've had no more trees on flat Earth, you've had mud fossils, and now Tartaria. And prior to that, you had the whole hippie movement and peace and love, and many other things in between. But consider how they have always divided. There is a huge argument going on within the ranks of truth-seeking movements, particularly over the shape and size of the Earth, which is absolutely ridiculous if you think about it, because at the end of the day, we actually want to find the truth, but of course there is such a thing as controlled opposition. So regardless of the minor details and the exact specifics of everything, this should really be a wake-up call that when it comes to the whole idea of Tartaria, that it does not fall into this trap. So we have these opposing camps when we're actually on the same side. And we also have to watch for the controlled opposition getting their teeth into this, because they will. They've done it with everything else, and they will play a fake opposition to try and lure people. It's happened with things like Extinction Rebellion. Now also by extension from this, you can see how something like the Tartarian Empire, a worldwide utopian civilization, as people are starting to see this, could have collapsed very easily. Not only would they have not had any idea of things like deception, they would be totally unguarded against such things as controlled opposition. And it would be very easy to fool people. You can see this happening today. It is almost a reversed tree of life, a tree of death, where you get something that then splinters into different factions. A classic case is religion. All religions have an element of truth in them, but of course it's just a little bit of the truth, and it's distinctly different from another religious group to keep people arguing and saying that their God is right and nobody else's God is, or theirs is the only God and nobody else's God exists, or it's just made up. And it keeps people divided and obviously arguing. It's always divide and conquer. So this is something I think we all need to keep in mind when it comes to discussing Tartaria. Agree to disagree, but don't take it to the point where you have to be right, because we need to keep going, keep asking questions to find the truth, find the ultimate truth. And while we have this control system in place that is not allowing us to do all these things that we could easily prove things one way or another, then it's not going to happen. And of course they love it, because while we're arguing, we're not progressing. Some more words I would like to introduce as well, or some not so much words. To start with, let's look at some endings of words. And the first one is ing. Because your I refers to your third eye, the N, as I've said before, is Lord, and G is Earth. So it's basically telling you that you are Lord of Earth. Each and every one of you is a Lord of Earth. Another one you will see in two variations is Tion or Tian, like Christian or creation, or destruction. The T for Satan, or tying on. So it's tying your energy to something. Let's have a look at some other words and ways that the dark side actually refer to us as well. Think of the word giant. It's actually two words. Earth, again there's the I, and ant. And look where it ends up with. It goes towards the T. So you are giants, or you are participants. And you'll notice in these words how they break down. I mean, the P, as I've said before, represents pi. Then you have Ra, and then you've got tick. And then you see I, pants. Your I is totally controlled and you become an ant because you're taking part in a deception. Normally it'd be things like elections where they're getting you to pick one of the selection that they've given you, for example. What about ghosts and apparitions? Well, apparitions is a very interesting word because it appears through a right and then the eye is on. And you'll often find this with these haunted places. They're taken as a sort of like a thrill or an entertainment. And the reason those apparitions or ghosts keep appearing is because people are putting their energy into it. If they didn't go there, then they would not be feeding to this energy. What it actually is like an endless time loop of an energy that is stuck, and it will just keep going up and down the stairs or walking along a corridor, and it will just keep doing that over and over again. It can't break out of it. But by giving it energy, by going along for the thrill of being frightened, you're actually feeding a negative energy in doing so. And ghost is another interesting word. You'll notice you have the G of earth and a host. So that's basically what we're being used as host bodies on earth for something that is rather unpleasant. These archons, these out of three-dimensional serpent energies that resemble snakes. See, they even use the caduceus and model themselves on the twin caduceus and turning it into something evil. Another very interesting one, and you'll find wherever there has been mention of giants, particularly in the thousands and thousands of newspaper reports from the 19th century, often where a professional like a doctor was the first on the scene to give it take a look at these skeletons. And do you really think that they could have made the mistake and written down 15 or 30 foot when they actually meant to write 6 foot? I don't think so. I don't believe that people's ideas of distances and heights were that far out. When you consider the buildings, now if we go by the official narrative that the Victorians built some of these buildings to this Gothic style, and that how accurate they are we then expected to believe that even the professional people of that time were unable to measure distances? That just conflicts with a bit of common sense. That is just ridiculous. But let's have a look at the Smithsonian. Let's break that one down. Because you have a smith, then you have a sun. I would suggest it's SUN to do with the fake sun worship, and it's on. But we have to consider what type of smith. I think we're looking at a blacksmith, and I'm talking about a blacksmith in terms of black magic, because they do destroy all the evidence of anything that doesn't fit in with the official narrative, or at least they take it away, and you get the usual stories from museums. Oh, we've lost the particular artifact, no one can find it, no one knows what's happened to it, although there's a record of it in their inventory. It's a repeat pattern over and over again with all of these things. And you also have to think what a smith does, in particular a blacksmith. It takes something and it forges. Well, is that not what they're doing with our history? They are forging and creating something very different from what the material started off as. So I think it is clearly right there. When you see the word Smithsonian, think about a smith and what type of smith it is and what they're trying to achieve. And I think you have your answer of their motives. Another very good word, one that isn't often mentioned, is Zion. Now Z is one of the last letters in the alphabet, and you'll notice that with the shape of this, it's a reversed S. It starts at the top and then goes down. So your Z-I-on. So it's about destruction. So from Zion you get Zionism. You notice you have Zion and you also have Sion. And I would suggest that Zion is the evil counterpart of Sion. Anyway, it's just a few words just to give you some more ways of looking at things, and listen very carefully to the sounds. And as I've said, keep this whole research into Tartaria and this worldwide culture and this perception of a utopia in balance, so we do not fall into different camps and you have this divide and conquer, because this has happened with every other aspect of the truth-seeking movement. And if we don't learn from the lessons of our recent past, how can we ever attempt to look at the ancient past and try and unravel any of that and get to the truth of that, when clearly our history has been rewritten anyway? This is something within our lifetimes that we can do something about, and we can be in control of this. So this is very important to keep all this in mind. Thank you very much.